In 2004, Mean Girls hit the cinemas and a new teen classic emerged. Tina Fey's sharp, witty comedy about female cliques and competition in high school resonated and word of mouth spread, making Mean Girls a bigger hit than anyone had expected. The film became a slow burn cultural phenomenon, and over a decade later, quotable quotes are remembered, and there is even a Mean Girls celebration day on October 3rd.
On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
It's October 3rd.
Saturday Night Live writer Tina Fey conceived the idea of the film after reading Rosalind Wiseman's book, Queen Bees and Wannabes. Wiseman's book is non-fiction, and because of this, Fey had to develop a screenplay from scratch, using both the book and her own high school experiences as inspiration. The intention for the film was to make it your smarter than average high school comedy. So in addition to the script, elements were brought in to elevate the film, such as the use of an orchestral score and the crafting of several slickly produced multi-split-screen phone conversations. The story revolves around new girl Katie Heron, who has just joined North Shore High School, her first public school in the US, having moved there from Africa. Katie is thrown in at the deep end, and she has to learn how to navigate the cliques and social rules of high school. Katie catches the attention of free-spirited best friends Janis and Damien, and she also attracts the notice of the popular girls, Regina George, Gretchen Wieners, and Karen Smith. This trio are dubbed the Plastics and are legendary in their high school, with Regina George being the undisputed queen bee of North Shore High, who decides to take Katie under her wing. At the same time, Katie begins to fall for the cute guy in her math class, only to learn he's Regina George's ex, and Regina George doesn't like to share. Today, we're going to look back at the making of Mean Girls and find out what happened to the principal cast. Lindsay Lohan was already an established actress by the time she came to play Katie. She had been acting and modelling from the age of 3, and her roles in the hit films Parent Trap and Freaky Friday meant that her star was on the rise. Initially, Lohan was in line to play Katie's nemesis, Regina, but after thinking about her fan base, she opted to play Katie as it was closer to her girl-next-door image. The success of Mean Girls catapulted Lohan's fame into the stratosphere, and she became one of the it girls of the mid-2000s. Media attention focused on her style, her relationships, and her hard-partying lifestyle. In addition to her acting work, Lohan also released 2 studio albums, 5 singles, and 6 music videos. Post Mean Girls, Lohan's personal and professional life became more and more unsettled. Although still praised for her acting, films such as Herbie Fully Loaded and Just My Luck were mauled by critics. Lohan's foray into independent films such as A Prairie Home Companion and Chapter 27 never really paid off either, as the films didn't garner much notice and tabloid attention remained firmly focused on the actress's personal life. In 2007, a studio executive's letter to Lohan reprimanding her for lateness and absences on the set of the movie Georgia Rule was made public. In it he states, "We are well aware that your ongoing all-night heavy partying is a real reason for your so-called exhaustion." That same year, Lohan was replaced in the film Edge of Love by Sienna Miller, and the film's director revealed in an interview that ensuring Lohan had proved difficult. Lohan's downward spiral continued as alcohol and drug addiction continued to take their toll. She was arrested several times on charges ranging from driving under the influence to drug possession to theft. Several probation violations and ongoing issues with the authorities would mean that Lohan would be under probation for a total of 8 years. With the ongoing negative publicity surrounding the actress, finding credible acting work proved more and more difficult, and Lohan's once flourishing career faltered. Over the years, Lindsay Lohan has had a number of high-profile flings and relationships. But the one that garnered the most attention was her relationship with DJ Samantha Ronson. The pair dated on and off for a couple of years, before breaking things off for good in 2010. In an interview with Piers Morgan, Lohan spoke openly about her relationship with Ronson, but said that she ultimately identified herself as being straight. In 2014, Lohan was offered a docuseries by Oprah Winfrey to air on Winfrey's cable network. The show garnered disappointing ratings, and Lohan continued to appear troubled.
she started late, and so everything has to be changed. We have to think of plan B, which is using light. So it's not as smooth as I want it to be.
Lindsay Lohan was once the toast of Hollywood, but is now often mentioned as a cautionary tale for child actors. We now turn our attention to Regina George, aka Rachel McAdams, who enjoyed a much happier post-Mean Girls career. McAdams appeared in a number of film and television productions in her native Canada, but it was her casting in the film The Hot Chick that would mark her transition into Hollywood. Although the film was almost universally panned, she and her co-star Anna Faris were singled out for praise. McAdams was 25 years old by the time she came to play Regina George. The popularity of Mean Girls made McAdams a known name, and her position was cemented later that year upon the release of the immensely popular romantic film The Notebook, based on Nicholas Sparks' novel of the same name. What followed were a string of roles in fairly successful films, such as Wedding Crashers, Red Eye, and The Family Stone. In 2006, McAdams was invited by Vanity Fair to grace the cover of their annual Hollywood issue, alongside Scarlett Johansson, Keira Knightley, and the fashion designer Tom Ford. McAdams only learned that the actresses were to be photographed nude when she turned up at the shoot, and as a consequence, she declined to take part. Shortly afterward, McAdams parted ways from her publicist, and between 2006 to 2007, she took a career break in order to refocus and determine what she actually wanted from her career. During that period, she refused roles in films such as The Devil Wears Prada, Casino Royale, and Mission Impossible 3. In 2009, she came back into the spotlight, starring in films such as State of Play, The Time Traveler's Wife, and Sherlock Holmes. McAdams continues her winning streak, and in 2015 starred in the second season of the hit HBO TV series True Detective. Rachel McAdams is an established and well-respected actress who has proved her longevity and is a hit with critics. Relationship-wise, in 2005, McAdams began dating her The Notebook co-star Ryan Gosling, 2 years after filming had wrapped on the movie. On set, the pair had had a fractious relationship, with Gosling even asking the director to bring somebody else in for his off-camera shots. Later, the pair patched things up and dated for a couple of years before breaking up in 2007. They reunited in 2008, only to part ways permanently that same year. McAdams then briefly dated American actor Josh Lucas in 2009, and then later went on to date her Midnight in Paris co-star Michael Sheen from mid-2010 to late 2012. So, that's what happened to Rachel McAdams, but whatever happened to Regina George's minions, Karen Smith and Gretchen Wieners? Karen Smith was played by Amanda Seyfried, who interestingly was considered for both the roles of Katie and Regina before being cast as Karen. Seyfried originally auditioned for the role of Regina, but at the time, Lohan was in line to play that role. So filmmakers considered Seyfried for Katie. When Lohan opted to play Katie instead, Seyfried was then considered to play Regina. However, when Lohan and Seyfried were tested opposite each other as New Girl and Queen Bee respectively, the filmmakers judged that the chemistry was off, and it was then that McAdams was finalized as Regina George. The producers then decided to cast Seyfried as Karen Smith, feeling that the role would suit Seyfried's comic sensibility. Post-Mean Girls, Seyfried carved out a career in television, appearing in shows such as Veronica Mars, House MD, and Law & Order Special Victims Unit. Her profile was raised significantly by her work in the HBO series Big Love, which centered on a fundamentalist Mormon family that practices polygamy. Seyfried portrayed the eldest daughter who struggles to accept her father's polygamy, and she became a popular character with audiences. Seyfried left the show after the 4th season to concentrate on her film career, and roles in successful films such as Jennifer's Body and Dear John followed. She was also able to showcase her musical talents in the hit musical films Mamma Mia and the hugely successful Les Miserables. In her personal life, Seyfried has dated a number of actors, including Emile Hirsch, Dominic Cooper, and Ryan Phillippe. Since 2013, the actress has been in a relationship with Justin Long after the pair connected at a film premiere. And now for the final plastic, Gretchen Wieners, who disappointingly never managed to make fetch happen.
You love him, and he totally complimented you. That is so fetch.
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
Gretchen was played by Lacey Chabert, who was one of the last cast members to be finalised. Chabert first came to attention as a child actress in the popular teen drama Party of Five, which revolved around 5 siblings who had lost their parents in a car crash. In Mean Girls, Chabert impressed as a put-upon member of the Plastics, who equates Regina George to Caesar in a memorable speech.
Why should Caesar get to stomp around like a giant while the rest of us try not to get smushed under his big feet? What's so great about Caesar? Brutus is just as cute as Caesar. Okay, Brutus is just as smart as Caesar. People totally like Brutus just as much as they like Caesar. And when did it become okay for one person to be the boss of everybody, huh? Because that's not what Rome is about. We should totally just stab Caesar!
Gretchen Wieners had cracked.
Post Mean Girls, Chabert continues to act steadily in film and television, but mostly in supporting roles, and she hasn't been able to replicate the same success as Rachel McAdams and Amanda Seyfried. In 2013, Chabert married her longtime boyfriend, David Nader. Alongside the Plastics, Katie established friendships with Janis Ian and Damien. Janis was played by Lizzy Caplan, who was considered too pretty for the role, but her ability as an actress set aside any misgivings. The name Janis Ian is actually a nod to the real-life musician and writer Janis Ian. Caplan began her career at the age of 17, playing supporting roles in television before landing the role in Mean Girls. After the film, she continued to act and made notable appearances in TV shows and films, including True Blood, New Girl, and Cloverfield. In 2013, Caplan rose to prominence with her lead role in the hit Showtime series Masters of Sex, where she portrays pioneering sexologist Virginia Johnson. The show is based on a biography written about the late Dr. William Masters and Virginia Johnson, who were both researchers of human sexuality at Washington University. Caplan is private about her personal life, although it emerged that she was involved in a 6-year relationship with Friends actor Matthew Perry between 2006 to 2012. Finding the other half of the Janis and Damien duo proved difficult. Tina Fey had a very specific idea of the type of person she had written, and the filmmakers auditioned a number of actors before finding Daniel Franzese, who they say charmed them in the waiting room before the audition even took place. After Mean Girls, Franzese has appeared sporadically in minor roles across film and television. Since 2007, he has curated several art shows. In his personal life, Franzese made the decision to publicly come out as gay in 2014. Along with her friends, Katie connected with Aaron Samuels, the guy who looks sexy with his hair pushed back. Aaron was portrayed by Jonathan Bennett, who Tina Fey said reminded her of a young Jimmy Fallon. Post Mean Girls, Bennett continued to act, model and present, although the quality of his projects is debatable. He also took part in the 19th season of Dancing with the Stars in honour of his late parents who loved the show. Aaron and Damien weren't the only men in Katie's life. Her math abilities meant encountering the mathlete and badass MC, Kevin G, played by Rajiv Surendra. Surendra initially auditioned for the two-gated function Damien, and Kevin G was originally envisioned to be of Chinese descent. However, after his reading, the filmmakers decided to alter the part to fit Surendra. Following the success of Mean Girls, it was suggested that Surendra should aim to land the lead role in the film adaptation of the multiple award-winning novel Life of Pi. Recognizing the film as the opportunity of a lifetime and identifying strongly with the protagonist, Surendra spent several years preparing for the role, even traveling to India and turning down all other acting work. Unfortunately, The Life of Pi struggled to get off the ground, and it took 7 years for the Oscar-winning film to be made, and in the end, the role eventually went to someone else. Surendra has talked and written about the lessons learned from that experience, and he currently makes a living as an artist, calligrapher and craftsman. And finally, we turn our attention to Miss Norbury, or rather Tina Fey, the woman who made it all happen. Fey began her career in 1997 with the comedy group The Second City. There she caught the attention of the head writer of Saturday Night Live, and as a consequence Fey herself was hired as a writer for the variety sketch comedy show, which is something of an institution in the US. Fey rose up the ranks to become head writer herself in 1999. Fey stayed with SNL until 2006, when she left to focus her attention on her hit sitcom 30 Rock. The critically acclaimed and Emmy Award-winning show ran for 7 seasons and is inspired by Fey's experiences of working at SNL. The show revolves around protagonist Liz Lemon, who too is the head writer for a comedy sketch show. From 2013, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler presented the Golden Globes 3 years in a row to universal acclaim. Together, they generated the highest ratings for the annual ceremony in a decade. In 2015, Fey developed the comedy show Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, starring Ellie Kemper as the title character, who has recently been rescued from a doomsday cult where she had been held for 15 years. In 1994, Fey met and began dating musician Jeff Richmond, and the pair married in 2001. The couple have collaborated on several projects including 30 Rock and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Together, the pair have 2 daughters. And that concludes our roundup of what happened to the principal cast of Mean Girls. As always, we hope you enjoyed this video, and feel free to check out our other Where Are They Now videos. Make sure to subscribe to London City Girl for more videos like this. Thanks for stopping by and supporting our channel, and we'll see you next time.